And begin. Thank you for joining. Today we're going to discuss digital transformation. The agenda, really quickly, we're just going to go through background for those of you that haven't heard the term digital transformation or aren't familiar as to what it is. We'll go through a little bit of background on that, how GoFormz is helping companies with this digital transformation. And then we're going to show you a demo. Really want to show you some use cases of how we're helping companies manage transforming to a more digital workplace and answering questions. As I mentioned, we will be answering questions throughout the webinar as well as at the end. So what is digital transformation? I'm sure a lot of you have heard this before or have already made this transformation in your personal lives. For example, maybe you used to go to the bank to deposit a check, and now all you have to do is take a picture from your phone, click a button, and that check is automatically deposited into your bank account. So we're transforming the way that we run our lives, and companies are also transforming the way that they do business. Companies are now allowing employees to work remotely from mobile devices. I know I do a lot of my work on the train while commuting to the office from my iPad or iPhone. So making the transformation to allow employees to do their work from wherever they are, whether it's out in the field. If you're a construction company, maybe you have employees out in the field that need to take pictures and update documents from their mobile devices, or maybe you have employees out in the field doing inspections and you want to give them access to be able to easily manage this. The old way of doing things with paper is difficult. A lot of employees are having to rekey in information when they get back to the office, or if you're like me, maybe you're even losing that paper before you get to the office. So making that transformation to digital definitely helps employees just do their job better. And what is GoFormz and how are we helping with this? Well, just to give you a little bit of background about GoFormz, for those of you that have never heard of us, we are a cloud software platform. And basically what we mean by cloud is there's no software to download or install on your computers. You can access GoFormz from any computer, any device, anywhere in the world at any time. So maybe you have employees in Asia that need to access documents, or employees that are working on weekends and need to update documents. You can do that using GoFormz, using the cloud platform. We were founded in 2011 and we're headquartered in the heart of Silicon Valley in San Francisco, California. We do have over 2,000 customers globally, and they range all the way from small one-person startup companies to large Fortune 100 companies. You'll see here currently in over 173 countries, and also used within various departments at those companies. So anything from HR to sales to marketing, service. We'll go through some of those different use cases later on. That's just a quick background on who we are. And how can GoFormz help? And how is GoFormz helping these companies transform? Basically, companies are always looking for ways to improve their process. And taking documents, paper forms, and making those digital is a great way to do that. So we are enabling these companies to take their already existing paper forms and turn those into smart digital forms. And what we mean by smart is we're giving them the ability to add additional functionality to those forms, workflows, logic. We'll show you all that in the demo. Some of you be familiar with this. Maybe you have paperwork piling up on your desks right now. Basically, this is what we see a lot of paperwork within these companies, and we're giving them the ability to take those existing documents and make those digital. So all the way from operations evaluations reports to maybe an automobile manufacturer with checkup documents, you can take all of your existing documents and make those digital. And this is just an example of a few of those use cases. Again, as I mentioned, really throughout different companies all over the world, different industries. We see a lot of companies doing work orders online now digitally. We see a lot of companies doing purchase orders, time cards. We work with a lot of retail companies and a lot of franchise companies managing store operations digitally, managing inspections. So pretty much anything that you have today that's paper-based, you can take that process and make that electronic. Also, another great outcome of that is all of that data that you've captured, you can now report on and have real-time insight and visibility into your business. So we'll show you on the demo, again, some examples of that. But just to let you know, you can have these reports at your fingertips. As soon as somebody completes their inspection form out in the field, you can now have that on a report or have it automatically emailed to you. So definitely helping these companies improve efficiency, also helping employees just be happier with their job. I mean, I know for me, being able to complete paperwork from my phone or from my iPad definitely saves a lot of time and a lot of pain and headaches. So improving employee satisfaction, saving time, saving administrative overhead, reducing errors. Now you don't have to wait for people to rekey in information. It's all done automatically for you, and improving workflows, which we'll show you on the demo. So I don't want to take too much more of your time going through the PowerPoint. I want to jump in and show you what GoFormz looks like and give you some examples of how we're helping these companies. Before I do that, I'm going to pause real quick just to see if there's any questions. If you joined the webinar later, you may not have heard, but the phones are on mute. So if you have questions, just go ahead and type them into that questions section on the webinar control panel, and then I can answer them. So first question from Peter, how does your program calculate hours on a timesheet? We do that through calculated fields, which I will show you some examples on the demo. Really easy to set up. Pretty much anything you can do in Excel, you can do in GoFormz in regards to those calculations. How are you different from Dropbox? Great question. So while you can store all of your documents in GoFormz and share those with employees or even customers, if you want to share, a completed inspection form with a customer, you can easily do that. We're not made as a document storage product, so you can certainly access these documents from anywhere in the world from any device, but obviously with Dropbox, their product is specifically made to manage different files and have different users accessing these files. So there are some differences we can certainly talk about in more detail on a follow-up call or on a throughout the demo. And please go ahead and continue to ask questions, and I will answer those as we go through the demo. What I'm going to do for the demo is actually share my iPad. So that way you can get an idea of what GoFormz looks like from a mobile device. Let me just go ahead. You should see that pop up here on the screen. Just my iPad. And let me go ahead and log in. So I've logged into the GoFormz app. This is what you're seeing here. And obviously the iPad is just an example of one of the devices you can use. I thought it was great for the webinar because the screen's large enough that you can actually see everything, but a lot of our customers are accessing from their phones or from other types of tablets. So up to you. This is an example of the iPad app, and I'm logged in as a user on my demo account. So a few things you'll notice, depending on your users and what you've given them access to, when they click on the templates tab at the top, they're going to see different folders. So you can limit and choose who has access to what files and what folders. So I'm in an example folder here, and you'll see here I have some different forms. So maybe I'm out in the field and I need to complete a work order. Let me go ahead and click on that work order. Again, this is just an example from the demo account, but a few things you'll notice, this work order may look exactly like your paper document. So it's as simple as taking that document, uploading it into GoFormz, and then your employees who are already familiar with that form can just go ahead and complete it here. I can easily click on the job type to select what type of job type this is, and then select the company name. So we've pre-populated a list of all the customers that we're working with, and from this list I can go ahead and find the customer that I'm visiting today. You'll notice once I select that customer name, the associated information like phone number, address, city, state, zip automatically populates here. Also, the contact email. This is great because if you want to automatically send this customer a copy of this work order once you've completed it, you put their email address in here, and then using the workflow, you can have it send them a copy of this automatically. So your reps don't have to worry about taking the extra step. You can automate that entire process. And then you can select the PO number or type in the PO number if you want to, and select the technician. These are your technicians working at your company. I'm going to go ahead and select I'm Mark Jones today. So really simple. I've already completed the top portion of the work order just by completing a few clicks. And now I can get down to the details here. So reported problem. For this, if you're using, again, an iPad or mobile device that has the microphone enabled, you can actually just talk into the microphone instead of having to type it. So you have the option to type, but I can come in here and click on the little microphone icon. You'll see it down here at the bottom of the screen. The pipe is broken. And now you'll see it automatically populated that text in here. So this is going to save a lot of time for people that have a lot that they want to put into this field. They can just quickly talk into the mic, report what the problem is, and then if they wanted to additionally come in here and add additional comments, they can type that in as well. So really simple. As I continue down the form, manufacturer. This is great because in the manufacturer column here, you can preload a list of manufacturers you're already working with. Instead of having your reps have to go in and type the name of the manufacturer, you can have them just go in and select. Let's select Cisco. Great. When I select Cisco, part numbers associated to Cisco are going to show up here. So you filtered the data, made it easier for your reps to be able to complete and find the part number. If they made a mistake, maybe it's actually not Cisco, maybe it's Juniper, then they can come in here and select the part numbers associated to Juniper. So really simple, definitely reduces errors. They're not having to scroll through a list of 1,000 different parts. And you'll notice when I selected the part number, it automatically populates the description as well as the unit price for me. And all I have to do is come in here and select a quantity. Let's say this is 3. Now, Peter had that question about the calculations. So when I select 3 in the quantity, you'll notice it automatically totals and puts my price here. Definitely reduces errors because now they're not needing to go in and use the calculator to figure out what the price should be. So using the calculated fields in the back end, GoFormz has calculated the total price. Now, if I want to go ahead and select a discount level, maybe this is a gold customer, we're giving them a discount, it will automatically calculate that discount level for them and adjust the total to show that. So again, saves a lot of time, saves a lot of effort. Now I've completed this portion of the form. Maybe I want to go in and calculate the hours. I think somebody had a question about calculating hours. So let's go ahead and show you how this works. Again, I can select the technician from the drop-down, and now I can select that technician's start time. Let's say that Mark started fairly early this morning. I'll just select 8 a.m. And his end time, maybe he finished the job at around lunchtime. So when I select his end time, you'll notice it populates the regular hours into this column. So it's done all the calculations for me. I don't have to do anything or adjust anything, but maybe it turns out that Mark actually was slow today and he didn't complete it before or at lunchtime. Instead, he had to work until 5 o'clock to complete this job. I'll go ahead and adjust the time. You'll notice something happened here. It calculated automatically the regular hours, but it also calculated and is showing me that there are some overtime hours involved here. Total hours is 9 hours, 17 minutes. So obviously some overtime. It's going to flag that. You can choose how you want to display that on the form. I wanted it to show up in yellow to make it really obvious. Hey, this is overtime. Something else you'll notice is now there's additional fields that were not there prior to me selecting that end time beyond the 8 hours. So let me just show you that again real quick. If I select 2 p.m. as the end time, you'll see here it's calculating regular hours. There's no overtime. And I can continue on with this form completed if I'd like. But if I was to select an end time that was beyond the regular hours, so 6 to 17 p.m., that's 2 hours overtime. Now there's additional information that I need to complete. So a great way for you to enforce and ensure that employees are filling out information that they need to fill out to be in compliance. So I need to come in here and say, was a customer notified of the overtime hours? Yes, they were. Was this an emergency? Actually, yes, it was. And were the overtime hours approved? Yes. Once I've selected that, I can now fill out this additional question of who approved it. Let's say Billy approved it, and then add additional notes. So I can come in here and say, job successful or job complete, whatever you want to say. Again, you could use the speech to text functionality or just type it in. So now that I finished with that page, I can continue down the form, and you'll see here I have some options to add images or also add location. So using the GPS functionality within GoFormz, your reps can go ahead and add a GPS coordinate onto the form automatically, so it will track where they were when they completed this form. You can choose to have it show up as a map or as a pin, and then also images. So if I select image, I can go ahead, take an image, take a picture, click on use photo, and you'll see that that photo is automatically added to the form for me. This is great if I'm actually out in the field and I'm inspecting something and I want to show, yes, I've actually fixed it, or here's what was broken. I can quickly add that image. I can add notes to it as well if I'd like to, and have that automatically associated. Another great option is adding an image and sketching on it, or just sketching. Maybe I want to draw a picture of, where the pipe was located, and I can come in here and draw freehand a map. I'm a fantastic drawer, as you can see, but and then you can come in here and sketch directly onto the form. So there's a lot of functionality we can do here to help ensure that the appropriate information is added to the form. And as I continue down, I need to get my customer to sign off on this. So I'll hand it over to the customer. They can go in, put their signature, put the date that they signed, and then as a technician, I'm going to need to sign it as well. So I'll go ahead and do that, and then also date it. Once I've completed that, I can just go ahead and hit complete. So now the form is complete. If I have a workflow set up to send a copy of this to my manager back in the office, it will email them. Maybe I have a workflow set up to send a copy of this directly to the customer. So now they would receive a copy of this as well. Because it's all in the cloud, my manager back in the office can access it immediately. They don't have to wait for me to email it to them or upload it. It is now available in GoFormz for them to be able to access as well. One other thing to note is I happen to have internet access right now in the room that I'm located in, but we work with a lot of construction companies with employees out in the field at job sites who may not have internet access. This all works offline, so they can complete the form, add images, do what they need to do, and then once they're connected again, it will automatically transfer these forms online and upload those into GoFormz so that people back in the office can have access as well. So a lot of information we just covered there. One more thing I'd like to show you is the list view functionality. Basically what I did here is I just clicked on the button to toggle between the form view, which as you may have noticed looks exactly like your paper form, to the list view, which looks a lot like a mobile app. You have the option of using this. Benefit of this is we work with some customers that have 100-page forms, and scrolling through those pages may take a lot of time. So using list view, your reps can just click on the section that they want to fill out. Maybe they don't need to fill out the first 5 sections and they just want to upload some images, or maybe they just want to fill out the technician hours. So giving them the ability to easily access the information that they need to complete, that's a great way to do it. Or again, they can go back to the initial view. And then if they want to download or manually email this, they can easily do that as well if you've given them access to do that. So that's just one example of how you can set up a form with those calculations in GoFormz. Obviously, we have many other examples. So really quickly, just want to show you some, especially a lot of our customers have images in their forms. So in this case, we work with a lot of automobile manufacturers, and in this example, maybe they have a paper form that actually has images on it that they want their employees to be able to add notes to. So you can make that digital. Here's an example of this. They can come in here and maybe they need to actually point out different areas on the car, and they can go ahead and just sketch right on top of that image. Or if they want to be fancy and adjust the colors, they can easily do that as well. So I can come in here and say, oh, yep, this was an issue. continue to add circles or whatever they like, or draw arrows. Very easy to move between the different options to make your picture as clear and concise as possible. And then once you click on done, you'll notice how that's automatically transferred to the form. And they can continue down and fill out the additional information here. So just another example of having an image directly on the form. Another great use case is maybe, again, I think it was Peter who asked a question about the calculations of having a form that automatically calculates or scores information. So this is an operations evaluation report. A lot of our customers are documenting this type of information. This one specifically might be for a restaurant franchise or whatever the use case is, but you'll see here at the top, I need to be able to answer yes or no to these questions. Was the food properly managed? I'm going to go ahead and select yes. Because I selected yes, the maximum score of 5 points, you'll see here the score shows up. Maybe the products within shelf life actually was a no. I don't get a score. I don't get any points for that. Approved product procedures, I'm going to say yes. You'll notice that I get points for that. You'll also notice at the bottom of the page, the score is tabulating itself here, and I've got a total score right now of 7. Let's go ahead and add another point to that here. You'll see now it's 8. So really easy to be able to calculate based on answers to questions what that score is automatically. That way your reps don't have to waste time, calculating what it is, and then they can easily just come in here, sign off on it and date it, and then be done with it. So just another example. I'm going to pause again real quick just to go through. I know we have a lot of questions on the webinar, so I'm going to pause to answer some questions, and then I'll come back and show you another example. So if you joined late, just to let you know, the phones are on mute. If you have questions, type them in. One question, can you complete forms even if not connected? Yes, absolutely. A lot of our customers have reps out in the field who don't have internet access, so they can complete those forms offline and then have it be connected. Once they're connected, they'll be transferred. Let's see, connect to the internet. So can you have option to format dates rather than set the format? I believe you're asking for that date field that I showed you. You'll notice in my demo account, I have it set up to be day, month, year, and it shows here is year, date, or year, month, date. You can absolutely set the date format. We work with a lot of European or international customers who obviously don't want it to be month, day, year. So up to you. Let us know. We can help with that. We have a lot of information too that we can share as to how to set that up. Question, can you include hyperlinks on forms? Great question. One of the highly requested features. Currently, we don't support the ability to have hyperlinks on forms, but as I mentioned, it is highly requested, so it is on our roadmap. Bob asked that question, so Bob, I'll follow up with you after the call and give you an update as to when that's going to be available, and maybe also it would be good to hear more about how you'd like to use that to ensure that what we're building is in line with what you're looking for. Is the auto-populate from the company name a logic function? Yeah, so that's set up through our, I think for those of you that missed it, when I selected company name on this dropdown, for example, All Stars Maintenance, you'll see how it's showing the phone number and address. I didn't have to type in All Stars Maintenance. So a lot of our customers have Excel documents, Excel sheets with this information, and they can easily just upload it into GoFormz and then make that available for their customers. So we can walk you through that. Jesse asked that question. We have a help document that talks about it, but we can also help you set that up if you want to set up a call after this. Question, hi, what happens if I have more than 4 parts used when I'm in the field completing the form? Can I add rows? Good question. This is my demo account you're seeing here. We've set it up so that it is only 4 parts, but you can certainly, if you have a use case where might have the option to have more parts added, then we can set up the form or help you set up the form to be able to accommodate that. So this again was just one example of that, but yeah, if you have 10 parts, then we can set it up so that has additional fields for those parts. You can use dynamic fields to make those hidden as well. So if they don't need to see all 10 part numbers until they get to part number 6, we can set that up and help you set that up for you. Would be handy to have a really good user guide that would include all the field options, calculations, etc. Bob asked that question. Bob, great news. We have that now. So I will email you after the call and send you a copy of the user guide that you can reference. And then certainly let me know what questions you have from that. John asked, how many images can you have per form? There's no GoFormz limit on that, so it's really up to you and your use case. If you have a form that requires a lot of images, then you can certainly accommodate for that. There's no limit on our end, so it's up to you. Let's see. Wow, a lot of questions. Am I able to transfer my auditor reports over to GoFormz? I'm not really sure what you mean by that, but we can certainly follow up with you to get more details on that and help answer that question. I should have told you before the call, only easy questions you should ask me. If you have difficult questions, I will need to follow up with you after the call. I'll give you a call, or if I have your email, I'll send you an email and set up a time to talk you through and get some answers to those questions. Can GoFormz be incorporated into other applications through the APIs? Absolutely. We do connect with quite a few other systems. I was going to mention that, but since you asked now, we have a lot of customers using Salesforce or SharePoint or ServiceMax or Box.com or even Dropbox. So we do have an open API. You can connect to pretty much any other system that connects with an API. We also have pre-built connectors for you, so you don't have to do the work to connect. So if you're using something like Box.com or Salesforce, it's a plug and play connection for you so that you can transfer data from one system to the other. Craig asked, can you explain the difference between templates and forms? I'm sorry, I should have done that ahead of time. I was confused by that when I first started as well, so that's a great question. Templates are what you, as an administrator in GoFormz, set up. So you take your paper form and you make that a template. And I'm going to show you really quick. I'm not going to go into the details, but show you really quick an example of that in a few minutes. And then the forms are what your reps complete from those templates. So this example you saw on my iPad was an actual form. I had already set that up as a template ahead of the call. Rusty asked, you show one folder in the template area. Can you set up multiple folders and manage who can use them? Absolutely. My demo account was a little messy, but you'll see here I do have other folders available, and then you can choose based on your employees who has access to what folders. So we just launched a users and groups functionality. Makes it easy if you have thousands or hundreds of users. You can give them ability to be in a group and then manage what group. For example, sales group sees a sales folder, or you can do it individually. Up to you. Peter wants the user guide on the calculations as well. Absolutely. I will email that out after the call, and anybody else that wants it, just go ahead and let me know and I will email it. Somebody asked, what is an API? It stands for Application Programming Interface. Basically, it's a way for you to connect one application to another. So an example is connecting GoFormz with Salesforce. So it's a way for those two systems to talk to each other so that you can transfer data between the two. We have a whole website, developers.goformz.com, that you can access to read all about the API and how it works, and even gives you examples. So definitely check that out. Question for follow-up after the webinar, can I? So that was Wendy. I will follow up with you individually to help you set that up. Andrea asks, can you use dynamic fields to dynamically add pictures as needed without specifying how many pictures you're going to add to a form? Great question. Off the top of my head, I'm not sure of the answer, so I will follow up with our team after the call, and Andrea, I'll reach out to you directly to help to get that answered. Somebody else is asking, where can I find a training help video to compute Excel formulas and GoFormz? John, I will send you that document as well. I don't think we have a video yet, but that's a great request and definitely something that we should have available. So we'll start with the document that I have, and then we can certainly set up a call to answer questions that you have from that. Edward asks, great, by the way, great questions, guys. Thanks for sending these along. So Edward asked, all the information from the form goes into a database that can be queried? Yes, absolutely. So all this information that you're collecting from your reps out in the field or wherever they are is being stored in GoFormz, and you can report off of everything. So maybe you want to see a report on what forms has Laura completed this week. You can easily go in, run that report, or maybe even have it scheduled every Friday afternoon. You're going to automatically receive that report in your inbox, and it's going to show you all the forms that Laura completed. Or some of our customers want to set it up to show all the forms completed for a specific customer. So maybe you want to see what forms did we complete for customer A this month, and you can filter the report based on that. So all the information that you have in here, you can filter, you can report, you can export to a CSV if you want to continue to manipulate it in Excel. Very easy to do, or export it as a PDF. All right, so, oh, wow, lots of other questions. Can you add a location to the form, and how can you do that? Yes, absolutely, using the GPS field. So I'll show you when I go into the template itself to show you how you can easily add that that form or that field to the template. And if any of you have asked questions, I didn't go through all of them just now. There's a few other questions. I promise I will follow up with all of you and get answers to your questions. I know for the sake of time, I want to just go through a few other things, and certainly I can answer additional questions at the end as well. So let me jump back into this. A lot of questions on the calculations. I think that's a amazing functionality of GoFormz. Another example of that is this vehicle checkup report. So you'll see here I have this image of the car and all these different areas that I need to check off. So when I come in here and I select, yes, I've checked off the brake fluid, you'll notice here the check and OK box has now calculated the number 1. So as I continue to check yes to the power steering, it's automatically calculating and adding that. Maybe the front differential, which I have no idea what it is, but I'm sure some of you do, maybe that failed. So I'll go ahead and put an X in the red spot, and you'll see that now it's showing up that one item requires immediate attention. So really easy for me to just click through here automatically, and obviously it's calculating everything for me. I can then send this form to the customer as soon as it's complete, and they can have a copy of it as well. So that's just another example of different types of forms using the calculation, since we did get a lot of questions on calculations. Just wanted to make sure I went through that. Now, I'm going to stop sharing my iPad for a minute, so let me just close out of this. And I'm going to actually go into GoFormz website. You should see this pop up on your screen. It's just a welcome screen. This is actually GoFormz.com. So this is our website. I'm no longer on my mobile app. I'm logged into the website. I'm actually logged in as an administrator. So some of you who have used GoFormz, maybe not as an administrator, might not have full access to everything here. But if you're an administrator, you will see these options when you log in. So I'm going to go ahead and click on templates. And I know you asked the question of what's the difference between the forms and the templates. Templates are where you're setting up your paper documents to be able to be turned into forms for your employees to complete. So I have different folders here. Let me just go ahead and click on one so you can see what this looks like. Again, I'm an administrator. That's why I have access to do this. But you'll notice on the left-hand side, here's all those different template fields, and it's as simple as just dragging and dropping. So somebody asks a question of, can you add location fields? Yes, you can. It's over here on the left-hand side. Barcodes, you can even add barcode scanner field to the form. All you have to do is click on the field that you want and drag and drop it onto your form. It's as simple as that. Now, once you've done that, obviously you can change the location of where you want this field to show up, or change the size, the color, the fonts. Everything is customizable, and you'll see that over here in the field properties. I'm not going to go into detail on how to do that on today's call. We'll have a different webinar that walks through the detail of setting up different templates and fields. It certainly looks like a lot of people want to hear more about the calculated fields, so we'll definitely focus on that webinar as well. This is just a high-level overview to show you what's possible. So on the right-hand side, I can obviously customize. Maybe I want this field to be hidden until somebody completes another field. So using dynamic field properties, you can set up all of that information. So there's a lot you can do here. Sorry that we don't have enough time to go through everything, but just gives you a quick snapshot of everything that's possible. And then you can continue on the form, setting everything up. Now, a few other things you'll notice on this page: manage events. So customers want to manage workflow using GoFormz. This is great because if you want to set it up so once a form is complete, it's automatically saved into your Box account or your Dropbox account, whatever you're using. Or maybe once a form is complete, it's automatically emailed to a customer. So you can do that right here. We have a great help document that walks you through how to do this as well. Really simple. I'm going to say, when somebody completes a form, I want it to email. You can even customize what the email says. Especially useful if you're sending it to a customer. You probably want to have some special text in there. Sorry, we just had a few more questions come up. So that's very, very quick of, you can set up triggers to manage those workflows automatically. You can also, if I click on this little gear icon, I can choose to set up the form name. The reason why you may want to do this is so that you have it set up. Maybe you want the customer name to actually show up in the form when it's complete, or maybe you want the date to show up on the form name when it's complete. So you can set it up, customize it to have any information from the form itself be populated into the title of that form. So when it's complete, it's easy to search and find that. For example, if I click on forms here, this is going to take me to the area where all of my completed forms are. And you'll see that I have some forms where I've set it up to have the customer name right in that title of the form. So California Home Care Inc., this is the form that I completed with you guys on the webinar. You'll see how now it's available in here. It's populated the name of the customer in there. You can set it up again. This one is an example. It has the date populated in there. So whatever information you want from the form to show up in the title, you can set that up. That way you can easily search on that information, or even tag a form. Maybe you want to tag all your specific customer forms with a certain tag like customer. So you can go in and set up a tag so that you can easily search for that tag and find all of those related fields. Just like you can tag your photos on your phone, same functionality, really easy to be able to find those forms once they're completed in here. So a lot that you can do on this tab. You can filter if you only want to see forms completed by a certain rep right here. You can do that as well. Maybe you want to see forms completed in a certain time frame. Very simple to have those filters to be able to see that information. And then if you want to click into the form itself, I can just click on that name and it's going to take me to that California Home Care document I completed with you guys on the webinar. You'll see this was the one that had the overtime on it. So all that information is here. Maybe I want to download it, or maybe I want to, download it here, print it. I can do all that directly from here. So I know I've covered a lot. I know I talk really fast. I'm happy to go over any of this information again with you, or answer additional questions you have about that. For the sake of time, I sped through everything, but certainly we can spend more time talking about certain items that you have questions about. I do want to save some time now to answer additional questions that have come up. Reports, this is something that a lot of you asked about. So you do have the ability to create your own custom reports to be able to see different items. Like, for example, I have some reports set up for monthly sales by location or monthly sales by employee. So any of these reports you can set up yourself to be able to filter and have that information. You can export it to Excel, as I mentioned, or schedule it. This is great. Maybe you want somebody in your organization to automatically be emailed a copy of this report at the end of the week. So set it up to automatically send an email of that report to that person on that day and time. And that way they don't have to remember to log in here and actually go in and click on the link and do it. You're making their jobs easier. All right. So last thing to note just in this section here, help and support. this is very important for those of you that have questions as you're going through this. Click on this link. It will actually take you to our wonderful help portal where you can search for topics. So maybe I want to search on calculations or dynamic. Laura mentioned dynamic fields today. What are dynamic fields? Let's just go ahead and search on dynamic, and you'll see that a lot of help articles pop up that I can click on to read more about dynamic fields. So a lot of information here in our help section. If you don't find what you're looking for, go ahead and submit a request. It gets directed to our support team. They're amazing. They're in California, so you can submit a request. They'll help you troubleshoot it, answer your question. Great way for you to get help with that. And then the other thing you'll notice is obviously you can log out. You can also manage, if you have the ability to manage users and groups, you can do that through this section here. On my demo account, I don't have that set up for me, but you'll certainly see that when you log in to yours. So the other thing that I'd like to point out on the help section, on the help site, is we also have a blog site. So if I click on GoFormz, let's see, we have a blog site which also has a lot of those help documents and other articles that were written to help you out with certain items. So like dynamic fields, for example, we have a blog post on that. And I think you actually have to go to our homepage, which for those of you who haven't visited, please go. It's GoFormz.com. And if you click on here you go, you'll see this wonderful link for the blog posts. Click on this, and we have archived all of our blog posts. So definitely want to take the time to go through these. There's some great blog posts here. And then you can also search by categories or click on blog posts from previous months. So if you're bored after work tonight and want to spend some time reading about GoFormz, you can easily do that from our blog page. And then the other thing you'll notice on our home site as well is we have links to other areas for the product. So if you want to, I mentioned the API, you can easily link to the developers.goformz.com site to read more about our API, how we connect with other systems you may be using, documentation, everything that you'll need is available there. And then again, on our website, you'll see resources. So this is going to be guides, ebooks, case studies that we have. Go ahead and take a look at that. And then pricing. So with GoFormz, we have a lot of different pricing tiers available, from basic free accounts to our premier accounts. If you don't know where you fall, definitely we can just get on a call. You can kind of talk through your use case and what you would ideally like to have, and we can give you some guidance as to what plan you would fall into. You'll see on the page there's a lot of information. If you hover over those little dots here, it's going to show you the definitions of those items are. So a lot of information here, but certainly something that we can talk through on a call with you. All right, let's go ahead. We have a lot of extra questions on the phone. If you can't stay for the questions, feel free to email us, sales@goformz.com, and you can email questions. We can answer those after the call. And if you do have to drop off now, thank you so much for joining. Definitely appreciate you being on the call, and look forward to hearing more about how you're using GoFormz. So I'm going to go through additional questions. Somebody asked, can you explain how the public forms work? Yes, I didn't actually mention the public forms in the demo, but this is a way for you to be able to have a form and exactly as the title suggests, make it public. So we work with a lot of state government organizations that want to have a form that the public can go in and complete online. So you can have a form, make it public, and then it would just have a URL associated to it. You can post a link from your website to that form, and then anybody can go in and complete it. And you can customize the form. Obviously, you want to collect, information, name, email, whatever it is. You can use all of those custom fields to be able to capture that information on the form. Once they complete it, you can set it up so you receive an email to notify you, hey, this form has been complete. So makes it a really easy way to collect information, through your website if you want to, using the public forms. And again, if you have other questions about that, the help site here, if I type in public forms, you'll see that there's a lot of information here on public forums as well. So go ahead and take a look at that and ask any questions. Let's see. Bob says, not a question, but just to say, I have found using GoFormz to be brilliant, and I have never been. And if I have ever been stuck, GoFormz support staff have been fantastic. It really is a great tool, and to finish, great seminar. No way. Thanks heaps. Thanks, Bob, for the great feedback. For those of you, the rest of you on the call, I don't know who Bob is, so I didn't ask him to say to say that, but really appreciate the positive feedback, Bob. William asks, do you have a more advanced webinar for current users? That's a great question. As of today, we don't, but we will. So stay tuned. We got that question from a few people today, so we will definitely be hosting a more advanced webinar. I can host it and have one of our somebody from our technical staff back me up to answer questions on, calculations and that sort of thing. So we can go through in more detail the template editor and adding those fields like the GPS fields and the calculated fields and dynamic fields. Stay tuned. I will send an email to you, Bill, with more details. In fact, I'll just send an email to everyone that was on this call with details once we get that up and running. Peter asked the same thing, like to have a guide of how to edit fields. So yes, we will absolutely, or even a webinar, we will absolutely do that. Wendy asks, if we don't use a box.com account, how much storage do we have with GoFormz? Good news, you have unlimited storage. So we don't limit how many forms you have or how many templates you have or how many files you have stored in GoFormz. We don't want to prohibit you from collecting this data and making your life easier. So we don't set a storage limit. So go ahead and collect a lot of forms. There are no storage limits. Question from Andrea, are there size limitations in GoFormz when naming folders and fields? Great question. Off the top of my head, Andrea, I don't know the answer to that. So I will check with support and get back to you. There probably is, but I don't know what the size limitation is. So let me get back to you on that. Let's see. Somebody else, Rose is interested in a more advanced webinar. Absolutely. We are going to get that on the calendar. I'm happy to see that people are asking for that. So we will send out an update with the date and time for that webinar. Again, if you're not able to attend any of our webinars live, go ahead and register for them anyways, because we do send a recording of the webinar to everyone that has registered. So you don't even have to log in, just register and we will automatically send you that recording and you can watch it as many times as you'd like. Another question, does it work with Android? Yes, it works with Android. I just showed you my iPad on today's webinar because that's what I'm comfortable with, but certainly we have a lot of customers that use Androids. Where is the data stored? Good question. We actually use Microsoft Azure, and for those of you that aren't familiar with it, similar to Amazon Web Services, but built by Microsoft. So basically what this means is all your data is stored in a very physically secure data center. And because it's Microsoft, we get to take advantage of all the security measures that accompany that. So they put in place a lot of security certifications and measures, and we can take advantage of it. We have a list of all of their all of the certifications, SOC 1, SOC 2, SAS 70. So we can certainly send you, if you want more information on security or where your data is stored, we can certainly send that to you. Go ahead and email sales@goformz.com and request that, and then we can send you the email. Somebody asked, can I track where a form was completed? Yes, that question came up a few times. And on our more advanced webinar, we'll actually walk you through how to set that up. You can, using the GPS field. You can make it so that your employees completing the form don't even know that it's being tracked if you want that functionality. We work with a lot of customers that want to be able to track it, but they don't necessarily need everyone to see that on the form. So we can make it hidden. That way it's tracked, but it's not taking up any space on the page. Can I do calculations like Excel? Yes, a lot of questions around calculations today. So I will send a follow-up document to you, and certainly we'll have that follow-up webinar. And then another question, can I print my forms? Yes, you can absolutely print any of your forms. You can save them to your computer if you want to, download them as PDFs, or print them, completely up to you, very easy to do. If you click on the Forms tab here, for those of you that are still viewing my screen, you can come in here and see that you can easily print the form directly from the account. So very, very easy to do. And there's a few other questions. Some of them are repeats of questions I've already answered. So I will follow up with you, with those people that asked those questions, to make sure they got the answers they were looking for. Somebody else asked about the API. Yes, there is an API available to save your completed forms. A lot of our customers, this person specifically asked about SharePoint, a lot of our customers use SharePoint. So yes, you can connect to SharePoint. That way you don't have to use emails or download them and then upload them into the other system. Using the API is a great way to do that. If you missed it, we do have a link to our API documentation. It's developers.goformz.com. So we can certainly have a call to talk you through how that integration would work. You can come here, though, to also just kind of read more about different things that you can do using the API. All right, and so with that, I'm going to wrap up the webinar. I'll follow up additional questions that have come up. I will follow up with you individually. Definitely appreciate you joining today. If you have any questions, sales@goformz.com is a great way to email and then get those questions answered. Let me just go ahead and put that up on the screen for you. Sorry, I'm having computer issues, but sales@goformz.com, you'll be able to connect to somebody that can help get your question answered. And then again, our website is just goformz.com. Go there if you want to search through anything that I mentioned today. And then we'll send a follow-up email to you with the link to the calculated fields, a link to the user guides, and also send you information when we have the dates and times for the more advanced webinar. So thank you, everyone. Great meeting you on today's call, and look forward to talking to you in a few weeks in another webinar.